guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is day 4 of the Diddy trial. I skipped day 3 only because it kind of affected day 2. However, it seems that they're asking more questions in regards to Cassie and the freak offs. So technically Cassie's only been on the stand for 3 days, today being the 3rd day. And it's just crazy because as you're hearing Cassie read off text messages and describing the freak offs and how they are set up and her relationship with Diddy, yes, I do understand that Cassie did look for a lavish lifestyle and, wanted to further her career. At the same time, you have to understand that the way Diddy was manipulating her, it just seems like it wasn't two sides. Yes, she was conforming to certain things, and yes, she did agree to freak offs and things like that. However, she also puts in the fact that Diddy was putting hands on her a couple of times, but more frequently than he should. Granted, you should never put a hands on a woman, but Diddy obviously, off of all them drugs, right, that he clearly was never in the right state of mind, especially where Cassie has been admitting to doing all these drugs and just being vulnerable to the fact that, again, she was never in the right state of mind doing these things. So I am not a lawyer, is why we're playing these videos from for the updates. And so take what you want from there, and then, leave your comments down below how you feel about the trial. And with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
I'm not a lawyer, but let's get into what happened before lunch on day 4 of the Diddy trial, which again is just my summary of reports by people who are actually in the courtroom, so make sure you support them. Okay, so if you watched yesterday, you know today is all about the cross-examination of the star witness in this case, Cassie Ventura. Quick recap of the charges so that you have them in mind as you're listening to the testimony. The government is trying to prove that Diddy and his network of people, staff, assistants, bodyguards, carried out and covered up crimes with the goal of helping him fulfill his personal desires, helping him stay powerful, and helping him stay out of jail. And some of those crimes include trafficking, bribery, arson, and more. The government is also trying to prove that Diddy trafficked Cassie, as well as the second victim in this case, who is a Jane Doe, meaning we don't know her name. And that specifically means they need to prove that Diddy forced and or coerced them into different locations for the purpose of them engaging in activities in exchange for money. And then with the transportation to engage in prostitution charges, the government is trying to prove that Diddy knowingly transported these victims as well as workers for the purpose of them engaging in activities for money. It's worth noting that the force and coercion part is not included in this prostitution charge, so it seems, and I'm not a lawyer, but the government is trying to show that Diddy transported or caused the transportation of the victims and the workers across state lines with the purpose that they engage in this work for money. The defense's position, of course, is that everything was done with consent, and this was all just a part of the lifestyle that they had. So that's the general framework to consider as you hear the questions and the testimony. Now let's get to cross. The defense jumps right in, showing how much Diddy and Cassie loved each other. Cassie reads an email she once wrote that said, quote, "I love you, smiley face. I'll fly anywhere for you. I love you, Cass." In another message, Cassie wrote, quote, "Going to sleep now so it can be tomorrow faster. I love you." Diddy responds, "Love my baby." Cassie responds with a smiley face. Diddy responds, "I love you so much, it consumes my life." And then Cassie says, "I wonder the same thing for myself. Like, who was I before we decided to be together?" And then Diddy says, "I never knew it could be like this." Then there's a 2009 exchange where Diddy sends a message that says, "I love you so," with a bunch of O's. "Much, it makes me cry." Cassie replied, "You hungry, Pop Pop?" Context here is that Cassie testified on day 2 that Pop Pop is a nickname that she called Diddy after he asked her what she called her grandfather, and that turned into her then calling Diddy the name that she previously called her grandfather. When Cassie testified this on Tuesday, she said when she looks back on it, she thinks it's disrespectful. By 2010, the messages between the two of them had started to take a turn, with a message from Cassie reading, quote, "I haven't talked to you at all. You don't even try. You rush me off the phone. I'm really hurt. I don't need your money. I need some attention." And from there, the defense attorney turns the questions to the FOs. The attorney reads some parts of email and text exchanges from 2009, where Diddy said, quote, "When do you want to FO, LOL?" Cassie replies, "I'm always ready to FO." And then 2 days later, Cassie sent some graphic messages to Diddy, to which he replied, "I can't wait to watch you. I want you to get real hot." And then Cassie replied, "Me too, I just want it to be uncontrollable." Those messages continued on with Diddy saying, "I can't concentrate," and Cassie saying, "I'll go to Dwayne Reed for the candles and then set up the room." At one point in those messages, Cassie also asks, quote, "Any pills on you?" There's also mention of a video being deleted in this text thread, but Cassie says she can't recall if this was about an FO video or some other kind of video. Diddy's defense attorney then turns her questions to asking about Cassie's 21st birthday party. And for context here, Diddy and Cassie were not together at the time of her birthday. She was actually dating Ryan Leslie. But on day 2 of this trial, Cassie testified that on the day of her party, Diddy kissed her for the first time in the bathroom of his suite. And when he did, she cried and ran off and told her friend. The attorney asks her about some of the people who attended her party, and Cassie, who was already signed to Bad Boy at this time, says that Diddy, along with Britney Spears, Dallas Austin, and some other celebrities attended her party, but not on account of her. They came for Diddy. In a bit of a lighter moment in the courtroom, the attorney apparently gave Cassie a compliment, calling her beautiful and charming. Apparently there's some laughter in the courtroom, and then the attorney says it's true, and then Cassie thanked her. Cassie also testified about a rough 106 in Park performance that she had. On the stand, she said it did not go well for her because she couldn't hear herself. Y'all remember that performance?
You've been waiting so long, I'm here to answer your call. I know that I shouldn't have had you waiting at all.
Cassie said after that performance, Diddy was really supportive and encouraging of her, telling her that everybody makes mistakes. The attorney highlights that at this time, Cassie was dating Ryan Leslie, who was actually 10 years older than her. And I don't know if this was noted by the defense attorney or it was just included in this article, but mentioning the age gap between Cassie and Ryan Leslie also showed that Diddy was the second older man that she dated. After Cassie's 21st birthday party, she wanted to go on a trip to Miami with Diddy, but again, she was with Ryan Leslie, so she used a flyer for an event as cover to go on the trip and be with Diddy. The defense also gets in that Cassie had Ryan Leslie's initials tattooed on her. Then there's more messages, one from 2009 when the couple was not yet public. Diddy sent her an explicit message. Cassie wrote back, "I like that. I want it, and I want to give you the same. I just think that I have to trust you beyond it just being engagements." He continued on saying, "In order for me to be more open with the things we do, I need to feel safe, like home, like this is my husband, and this is the only man that will ever have this aggressive side of me." At one point in the early parts of their relationship, Cassie thought that Diddy was interested in her friend Carrie Morgan, the one we've been hearing about. She sent a message to Diddy saying, "I see that Carrie is better fitting for you. I'm hurt that you think I'm malicious. You're very important to me. Ex Cass." And then the attorney turns the questions back to the FOs, highlighting that no one in the public knew about these FOs until November of 2023 when Cassie filed the lawsuit. And then the attorney asks if it's fair to say that Cassie ruined Diddy's career with that lawsuit, to which Cassie replied, quote, "I could understand that." And then, in line with the defense's claim that all of these engagements were consensual and just reflective of Diddy and Cassie's swinger lifestyle, the defense attorney asked Cassie if she's ever watched Diddy with other women during their relationship, to which she said yes a few times, but she also explained that outside of the engagement aspect, the swingers lifestyle is very different than FOs. Cassie testified that she didn't want anyone to know about the FOs, and she's never talked to any of Diddy's staff about them. She said the assistants would set everything up beforehand, but she doesn't remember if they ever came in during an active session because she was intoxicated. Now, before the lunch break, Cassie testified about Diddy's impact on fashion and culture, but when the attorney questioned if Cassie ever asked Diddy for his thoughts on her look, she replied, "Sometimes I got advice I didn't ask for." When asked what Diddy was addicted to, Cassie replied, "Success." Then she also said that he was addicted to opiates because he told her and because she saw it. And with that, the jurors are excused for lunch, but the attorneys stay around to discuss how much longer they expect Cassie to be on the stand. Diddy's attorneys say that they expect their cross to go until the end of tomorrow, but then add that they may not be able to finish tomorrow, noting that this is the most important witness in this case. The judge reminds the attorneys that for months it's been understood that Cassie had to be off the stand by the end of the week. The government then chimes in saying that the defense's cross-examination should be limited to a day and a half, which is how long their direct examination took. The judge finishes the back and forth with telling the attorneys to start streamlining things, and then they break for lunch. I'm not a lawyer, but let's get into what happened after lunch on day 4 of the Diddy trial. Cassie was still on the stand for a cross-examination, and Diddy's defense attorney starts off with a text from Cassie that read, quote, "I love our FOs when we both want it." Cassie told the attorney that loving FOs were just words at that point, but the messages continue on with Diddy sending, quote, "I want to freak out right now," and Cassie replying, "LOL, me too." From the stand, Cassie tells the attorney that she texts more than that, to which Diddy's attorney responds, "But you did text that to him." The attorney goes on to read the next message, which was a message from Diddy saying, "Jules is available if you're into it." And then the attorney says to Cassie, "You could have said yes or no. And you said, love you." Cassie tells the attorney there was no yes or no. The attorney notes later, Diddy said, "Do I have your permission to set up some fun?" And she responded, "Ovulation?" A text message from 2013 is read in which Cassie writes, "I wish we could have FO'd before you left." And then another message from 2017 in which Diddy was making plans for an FO, and he texts Cassie, quote, "Didn't hear from you, so I just put some plans in motion. Let me know when to stop." He also texts, "Surprise package coming from out of state," as well as, "Just let me know if I'm headed in the wrong direction so I can cancel." According to the Associated Press, in response to some of these text messages, Cassie glanced at the judge saying, quote, "This isn't about what I feel is relevant right now, right? Because there's a lot that we skipped over." The next set of questions go to some of the other women that were in Diddy's life. Cassie testified that she had some jealousy of the mother of Diddy's kids, Kim Porter, who of course passed away in 2018. Cassie testified that she would get upset when Diddy spent holidays with his family and Kim, even though Diddy and Kim were not together anymore. Cassie also testified about her jealousy related to a woman named Gina that Diddy was spending time with in 2014. Cassie said that Diddy denied the relationship with Gina, but she continued to be a topic of arguments amongst the two of them. On the flip side, Cassie said that Diddy was also concerned that she was becoming involved with other men as well. The attorney starts asking about her relationship with Kid Cudi. Diddy apparently thought it would be good if Cassie collaborated with Kid Cudi, but while she and Diddy were on a break, Cassie and Cudi began a relationship, but she admits that she was still doing FOs with Diddy. The relationship with Cudi only lasted for a month, but according to Cassie, Diddy brought it up quite a bit. She also says that while filming Honey 3 in South Africa, she broke it off with Diddy by sending him and some of his closest staff a video of him with another woman at an event. Cassie said that she included the staff because she thought that they were in on it and she felt that they had betrayed her for not telling her. It's also during that time Diddy was suspecting Cassie of having an affair with Michael B. Jordan, but Cassie says she doesn't know how Diddy reacted to that news because she wasn't with him. Now, in recalling some of the incidents that Cassie previously testified to, the prosecutor highlights some of Cassie's inconsistencies, asking her if she remembers previously telling the government that she went with Diddy and his team to go find Suge Knight, but Cassie says no, she didn't go with him, so she doesn't think she said that. The prosecutor also says that Cassie previously told the government that she did not see Diddy hit her friend Carrie Morgan with a wooden hanger, and she says she saw the hanger and saw that he was angry with them. Diddy's defense attorney asked Cassie if that incident broke up her and Carrie's 17-year relationship, to which Cassie says yes. Carrie apparently sent a demand letter to Diddy and Cassie after that incident, and Cassie says that she did pay a portion of the demand and has since only exchanged maybe one text message with her. In regards to narcotic use, Cassie says that rehab wasn't really a thing in their relationship, and at one point they called themselves the Get High Partners, and anytime she took something without Diddy there, he would explode. She says at one point Diddy told LA dealers not to deal to her. Cassie says her usage had gotten so bad that she lost her sense of smell and taste and woke up in a hospital with an IV in her arm, and that's when she tried to get help. According to CNN's report, Cassie also recalled a time in 2012 when Diddy himself OD'd and had to be taken to the hospital. Now the day ends talking about what led up to the Intercontinental Hotel video. Diddy had apparently gotten out of a spiritual therapy session, and when Cassie asked how it went, he replied, "It's a process." Cassie then sent a message saying, quote, "Baby, I want to FO so bad," which the attorney highlights because on direct examination, Cassie said that she didn't want to FO because she didn't want to ruin her upcoming premiere. Diddy replied to Cassie's text saying, "If we start at 7 p.m. and go until 4 a.m., you can get enough rest after." The attorney again highlights this to show that Diddy's intention was to have a shorter than usual FO so that she can get rest. And Cassie confirms that that's how she understood it. Cassie replies to Diddy's text saying, "Carrie is here, we can't do it at my house," and then sends another text that says that guy is sick, but the attorney says she's not going to ask what she meant by that. On the stand, Cassie goes on to say she doesn't remember the beginning of the FO at that hotel, to which the attorney implies that was because they took some bad narcotics, but Cassie says she has no idea if that was the case. And then the day ends. Cassie will be back for day 5, and the prosecution says that their next witness will be Don Richards.
Someone once told me the grass is much greener